Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's percolating. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Java. Percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip it with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning, that morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning, that morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026, and you are in the Java Cafe. Welcome to the Java Cafe. We're going to have sort of a quick shot this morning because we're going to go have a conversation with our governor. We were a little late for the past few years. We've checked in with her around the holidays, and this year, with so much going on, we were not able to get it scheduled for the holidays. So we're actually doing it later today. So I need to go get ready for that. And we will let you know, we won't be live, but we will let you know when that is going to air. And so welcome to the Java Cafe again for a quick shot this morning. We're going to discuss two things that I noticed online this morning. One is something that's been a topic around public safety and young people since I was with Mayor Menino. And additionally, it's come up again. City Councilor Ed Flynn posted a video and talked about what's going on with a bike ride that went through Chinatown and maybe other parts of the city, presumably, if they got there. And it disturbed some people. And it also showed some inequity. I got a phone call this morning. It shows some inequity around these bike riders were primarily young people, black and brown, most of them. And there are some other bike rides and some things that have taken place without permits and things, a little more organized. However, the classification of these young people in that ride automatically being gang activity. I've seen some chatter online about it. It just shows that where we are, you know, around a lot of the energy that black and brown Americans, Massachusetts, what do you call us if you're from Massachusetts? Put that in the comments. What do you think we call ourselves? Massachusetts in something? And Bostonians, you know, a lot of energy that we're feeling. So we'll share some commentary about that. Good morning to the folks over in the IG section. Sandra Boston, Sandra Deep. We got two Sandras over on Instagram. And also Fathers on the Move. Good morning, bro. Good to see you in the room. In the Facebook section of the Java Cafe this morning, Mama Java is in the room. It's good to see also the good elder mother Heidi Ivy in the room as well. Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Milagro, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Pastor Sharon Cornelius, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Pam, good morning. My Chilean sister, Good to see you in the room this morning. Jenny, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. And also, I think I got everyone. So in reference to what do we call ourselves from Massachusetts, this is the first response that I saw this morning. What do you think we call ourselves, and do you agree with what Sister Pam said this morning? Good morning, Pam. So the other thing that I saw, this was reported by Stacko, and then the Real Boston Media reposted it. There were some young people that kicked a man onto the tracks. Head bleeding, he was injured, and people did assist. And my concern always is with situations like this, with the density of them happening. And let's just name this is school vacation. And so, let me first finish the point about my concern that when there are multiple incidents within a short period of time, it puts law enforcement on alert. Additionally, I said to someone that, the MBTA incident with the young lady that hit the older lady, whatever the outcome with that, it made national attention. There's been talk over the past few weeks about a surge of ICE coming to Boston. Our Congresswoman mentioned yesterday, whenever there is a militia type and surveillance activity, Black and brown people usually end up at the worst of that. And right now, the worst, they end up at the bad end of it. And as we said, what's going on with our migrant brothers and sisters via ICE is an inroad to getting at worst to things like stop and frisk. And so that sort of activity and energy, how these young people that did the ride is being displayed, it's not an excuse. I want to also say that we cannot presume that all of those young people were from Boston. That is a real fact. A lot of the locking down the blocks and the intersections and where they do the late night rides and skidding around and, doing their, I'm going to say wheelies because I'm old, but doing their, what was the movie? Fast and Furious, when they would, do the little donuts and circles in the street. A lot of those people, come to find out, when they did the investigation and arrested folks and got their addresses, they weren't from Boston. And so we can't presume two things. One, the intent of were they just riding? And two, we can't presume they're all from Boston. The other thing I was going to say is that when I talk about the density of the incident with the bike riding and also these young people kicking a man onto the tracks, there's no excuse for violence and assaulting someone, but we got to ask the question, what was the engagement? Did this adult say something racist to the young people? We don't know the details of that. There's no excuse to put somebody's life at risk by kicking them onto the tracks. But these are the things that must be taken into consideration before we make a lot of presumptions around clips and clickbait and things that we see on social media. And so maybe we need to I'm in the process of chatting with Jessica Pierre about having some sort of in-person, maybe with the online option, chatting with her around media literacy. We've talked to Danielle Johnson, Courtney Boston, I can't think of her government last name, and Marv Neal about media literacy, but that's a part of this as well. The other part of this is, first of all, parents. We don't know the ages of these young people, but on average, based on what we saw on the video, I would say the average age that was out riding is around maybe anywhere from 19 to maybe 21. So that means you got some 14-year-olds there, some 16-year-olds, and you got some 25-year-olds and maybe a couple of 30-year-olds. Parents of the younger ones, be attentive to where your children are. Yes, even during vacation, even more so on vacation. The other thing is for the young people, our brother Pedro, our brother Isaac, brother Pedro, who was here and runs the youth development, youth advancement office, Isaac Yablo, who is over violence prevention, and also the Boston Police Department, in a way that maybe Yablo and Cruz or buffer, and Commissioner Cox isn't that hammer tight law enforcement. when it comes to our young people. However, they're part of it because this is also a public safety issue, and when you gather a lot of young people together, as I said, all may not be from Boston, there's potential for some things to happen. So there's parents, then there's policy, which includes the Office of Youth Advancement and also the Office of Violence Prevention, as well as the other part of this is the power of us to also hold accountable not just the municipality, but also the municipality and the state and entities that fund nonprofits whose mission and current funding streams include being disruptors of potential violence and also proactively working with our young people. There are those who have that assignment within government, and then there are those that government and other entities fund to do that work. When was the last convening of all of those? And the city can use its bully pulpit and power of convening, especially for those that are grantees. When was the last time everybody that's funded by the city that has anything to do with prevention, intervention, and in the worst case scenario, response to issues of violence, focusing on prevention for our young people? Vacations happen the same time every year. Summer break happens the same time every year. It's all of our responsibility. Parents, policy when it comes to the Office of Youth Advancement, Dr. Yablo, BPD, and also those that are funded to prevent, intervene, and in the worst case scenario, respond in issues of crisis. And so that's my commentary about what I'm seeing online in reference to the riot that went through Chinatown and other parts of the city, but Ed Flynn's post captured them going under the arch in Chinatown, and it looked to be about maybe 50 riders, a combo of regular bikes, motorized bikes. I don't know if they were mopeds, and I didn't see a dirt bike per se, but this is not a new issue. I remember being in the Eagle Room with Mayor Menino, and a decision was made at that time for law enforcement not to pursue actively those that were riding the bikes in the street because they may cause public safety issues for the rider, BPD, and also those that are driving in traffic. I left Mayor Menino's office in 2010. That was actually the early part of 10, in January of 10. So literally that was about 16 years ago. At minimum, from what I know, this is not a new issue. And so we need to figure out, to get off another cyclical issue, we need to figure out what is the off ramp and how do we deal with it. BCYF, thank you for that. Well, so Mingo, as things have changed, BCYF is not constructed with the street workers, and as you know, as they used to be. And so a lot of that, some of that work now, for those that go into BCYF centers, we got to remember that some of our older young people, they're not the BCYF types. The other thing is, I don't know where that street worker showing up, not being law enforcement from a city perspective is. And there's been some conversation. Is it the city that actually does it, or does the city fund an entity that has the flexibility of 8 hours, that is not unionized? And this isn't anti-union, but a lot of the issues back in the day with the street workers around being flexible, working late hours, the union was like, hey, if we're going to do that, we need more money. And then it puts the city, in a budget thing or whatever. However, the point is, to Mingo's point about BCYF, I don't know, brother. I don't know. So some other comments here outside of the good mornings and you all just having your own conversations, which I love here in the chat. I'm curious about your thoughts. Don't forget, I asked, how do we describe ourselves if we're from Massachusetts? Put that comment in as well. Pam let us know that she thinks that we call ourselves massholes. I've heard that before. Domingo is mentioning no real programming for teens. Heidi is saying, yes, this is nothing new. This happens all the time with vacations and summer breaks. Domingos is saying we took our youth out the city during the school breaks. That is a point. that I remember people like Leroy Peoples and others, Donald, have worked in some very interesting times to get young people out the city. So that is a part of it. Domingo says BCYF sites are closed unless there's a standalone site. And that goes to the thing of unions with BPS, custodial, like these are a lot of the system constraints. We mentioned system constraints when it comes to racism, decreasing the racial wealth gap, but there's a lot of system constraints around programming. And this is stuff that is decades old. And Mingo, you used to be a union steward, so you understand, both sides of this. But as someone that has attempted to book at a BCYF site, and let me explain what Mingos is saying here, since we try to educate and inform on this platform. A standalone site is a BCYF community center or like a swimming pool that is not attached to a Boston public school. An example would be, I think, the one over in South Boston, the L Street Center. I think another one, and Mingo helped me. Another one is, obviously there's not that many. Most of them are connected to schools. When you are not a standalone site and you are attached to a Boston public school, my understanding is that the custodial cleans the whole building, the community center side and BPS, and is treated as, I believe, one entity. And so, Domingos, thank you. Other examples are Vine Street, Curtis Hall, and Parish Street. And Pam's coming with some fire this morning. And so when I used to attempt to book things, you had to get sign off, not just from BCYF for the center. If they were attached to a BPS, you had to also get sign off with collaboration with BPS and also pay for the custodial fee. And so if the community center that is attached to a BPS school, while BPS is supposed to be on vacation, custodians deserve vacation too. That could be overtime, time and a half, because they clean the school and they clean the center. And so I think the point that Mingos is trying to bring out is that only standalones are open. And where Vine Street covers Roxbury, Curtis Hall, Jamaica Plain, Parish Street, I want to say is South Boston or Charlestown. I'm not sure. Pastor Sharon, Bay Staters, that's what we're called. We don't say Massachusetts. Mingo, to your point, these are things that are not new. This is no cap for the mayor. This is no cap for Mayor Wu, Kim Janey, Marty Walsh, Mayor Menino, I'm not sure. And it may be going back to maybe Flynn and or White. A lot of these things in the contracts over years, decades, are negotiated upon through bathroom conversation, sitting at the bar, at the dinner table, and this one is cool with this one, and they got to look out for their family. Most of the custodians back in the day were white and from South Boston and Charlestown. So it is city stuff that I believe is another issue that we can bring up to be rectified. So here's a solution. How do we get City Councilor Julia Mejia to bring up the fact that it is a issue for the community that when non-standalone or BCYF centers that are attached to BPS are closed, rightfully so, the custodians need time off. How do we have a hearing about figuring out either via the budget to pay them the overtime? How do we maybe work with the Office of Youth Advancement and also workforce development that works with our young people? How do we get these young people trained properly, certified as, I was going to say mini junior custodians, and employ them with cleaning up a BCYF center at the end of programming during the vacation? That's maybe a solution that somebody can take the lead with and contact City Councilor Julia Mejia's office, who is the chair of Education Committee, who also does not have control of the budget. I just need to put that out there, and we'll talk about City Council on another day. That's something that can be done. You know, so how do we support, ask and support and show up and talk about why we believe the BCYF centers need to be open during vacation, even if they're attached to a BPS school? And how do we work with Dr. Yablo's office for the older young people that won't step foot in a BCYF center, no matter what the programming, when it's open, job opportunity to clean after? There's just some young people that just aren't going, the programming is not attractive to them. That's not all on us. There's some on them too. We just got to say that there's unfortunately a population of young people that we don't stop trying, but may not ever respond to what we try. That's a reality. Domingos is saying basically what I just said, that during vacation week, we need all sites opened. Milagro is saying mass holes is right. Domingos is also saying this week, summer jobs applications are open on the Success Link. Pedro shared that when he was with us last week. Mingos is also saying back in high school, Mingos will take you back. Back in high school at Madison, we would paint the school. There's an opportunity, and there's job training and skill set, showing up on time, paying attention to colors and cleaning and all that. So there's some skills that come out of that. Heidi said, connect with ABCD or whoever provides youth employment. The Success Link is a part of that, Heidi, and ABCD as well. Frederick, my brother, good to see you, man. Missed you a couple of days, not seeing your name pop up. He is saying, send them to me. We're training maintenance techs this summer for young adults, paid training. Okay. And there's an opportunity, maybe, Frederick, take this to City Councilor Julie Mejia and say, is there not? And the budget right now, this is February. Fiscal year 27's budget is being worked on right now. A good percentage of it is probably done because they start in like December. Budget and Finance collects what they think their departments or want their departments to submit what they need, cuts, new staff. And I will just say there's a lot going on with the budget because, as the mayor mentioned, not just for individuals, but this increased cost with healthcare, that's everywhere. And that's a big contributor also to these 400 people that are potentially being cut, or I don't know, I believe it's proposed that are being cut out of the BPS budget. So Domingos is saying the Marshall having summer lessons this week. Be more specific on that, Mingo. First, we need to motivate them because today, all or some of them know is technology. They also have to be able to trust and feel safe with people. Exactly, Soraya, Sister Soraya, rather. Frederick is saying, no, thank you. I don't wait or depend on the city to support young people. It's not. We'll talk about this later this week. And to your point, there's a balance. What I saw here and just thought of. Frederick has a vision. What he just said here, him not depending, what I've seen a lot in this city through the year is people have a vision, they start a nonprofit and expect the city to automatically fund it. And I agree, we don't wait. However, in a policy process wise, nudging Councilor Mejia to examine Mingo's point of them figuring out a way either through budget or youth job training and employment, having them clean up the BPS center when the custodians have a right to, they plan their vacations with their families around vacation. They're off. And I think that's fine. What is the resolution to figuring out a way how to keep all centers open? Swimming pools, I don't know. It's wintertime. Unless they're heated, or, you know, and that's just me. But my point is something needs to be figured out. I offered a solution. Somebody contact City Councilor Mingo. Contact City Councilor Julia Mejia's office and ask her and say, hey, BCYF centers that are attached to BPS buildings are closed during vacation. This is an issue. Also suggest to her that whoever the city councilor is over public safety, sign on to a hearing. Whoever the city councilor is that has public health, sign on to that. Trauma and also youth violence prevention, the primary work of it is over at the Health Commission now under one shop. There's a solution there. Milagros is saying, and we're going to get ready to wrap up in a minute. Parents and neighbors used to keep an eye out on the kids. It used to be less of the stuff going on now. That was days of old, Milagro. And there were young people that even if they saw a neighbor seeing them doing something, they would duck and then hope they don't tell their mama or their daddy. This generation is different. Domingos, I had no budget. I was never a youth worker on street worker. I called program with zero budget. And folks do that. Frederick is doing it, but I have to say something, Mingo. It's a labor of love, but none of it is free. Your time away from your family, your gas, and I get it. We've all sacrificed and have done it for the greater good, but people should be compensated, especially when there are others who get grants who are compensated to do some of the work that you're doing. And I'm not just talking about city grants, so there has to be that balance of doing it for the love, but none of it is free. You let your credit score drop. You let struggling paying bills. You let keeping gas in the car and other things and not being able to do your self-care with oysters, crudo, and others. You have a different perspective about service, because sometimes service and people that are receiving the service and also could be doing the service as well will allow those that are serving to run themselves into the ground, to have an empty cup, to which they're flicking stuff out, trying to be helpful instead of being full. I don't know how I got there, but people like Frederick and Domingo, you all deserve to be compensated. Mingos is saying, and got about 2 minutes left, folks. As a lifeguard, I was able to fill the pool during school breaks. I would do a swimathon to raise money. And so, Mingo, I witnessed it. I remember you back in the day walking around with your fat over by the pool. But a brother that's really been about this work. Pastor James Hills, you were so right about they would not duck and pray they didn't see us until. And that's very different now with this generation. Pastor Naraki, good morning, beautiful. Good to see you in the room. Domingos is also saying BCYF staff are already on the job getting paid to sit in an empty building. So wait. Pam, help me with this because I know you were there. The staff at the BCYF centers attached to BPS, are you saying that the staff is still in there? They deserve to be paid, but they're in there, but they're not open for programming? That is interesting. If I understand what you're saying correctly, if I misunderstood it, please clarify. Pam is saying direct care service workers don't get Boston livable wages. It's ridiculous. Direct care service. Define that for me, Pam. Did you mean like PCAs or direct service to youth? Sister Soraya is saying we don't have enough support for youth. You put CRS doesn't even help. I don't know what CRS is, Sister Soraya. CRS doesn't even help like they used to. They don't even bring the youth in courts unless they did something that could have been prevented. They are setting up the youth to fail. That is a part of it. And Sister Soraya, I know folks are typing on their phones and whatnot and getting stuff out in a passionate place. So I'm trying to fill in what I believe you're saying there. Go to the Holland CC and go to the Holland Community Center and see for yourself. I thought he said CC myself. Sharon Cornelius is saying, see, James W. Hills, you are right about that. We would duck and hide and pray neighbors didn't see us. They would surely tell, then they would tell the other neighbors they saw us. That village perspective. All right, 10:30. I got to get ready to wrap up to get out of here. Michelle D. Smith, good morning, is saying, I'm a part-time employed with the after-school, out-of-school enrichment program for kids only, 43 years in operation, based in elementary schools in 5 sites, 5 cities on the North Shore. Maybe BCYF can partner with such programs to serve kids if BCYF centers based at BPS remain closed. That's an idea as well. Jenny is saying, yes, Domingos does the work, and yes, I remember swimathon days. The Real Boston Media is in the room. Thank you for bringing attention the issue with the person kicked off on the tracks, and they also sent hopes that they are okay. Belinda is in the room. Good morning, sis. Great morning. Java fam. She must be talking. Great morning, Java fam. Rest in peace, Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Push Coalition. That was the foundation and then prototype for the Pride flag. Know your history. Yep. On one today. Hey, Mama Java and Auntie Java. Love y'all. Black history is American history. Another part about the Rainbow Push Coalition is that it started here with our great ancestor, Mel King. Pam is saying her point about livable wages was to those direct service workers in the BCYF centers. Domingos is saying programs on flyers, 24 years at the city employees. I've seen it all. The gym is empty. That's interesting. Frederick is saying we don't necessarily need money to serve young people in our community. We need community members coming together, willing to sacrifice its time and effort. That is definitely true. And to my point about service workers, we got to balance the fact that it cannot be always all on one particular group. I have learned when you serve, you will allow yourself to allow others to run you into the ground. And I'm big on self-care, balance with sacrifice. God knows I'm always working on a balance. I'm getting better with it, but I agree. But at the same time, it goes back, and it could be my orientation in government and knowing what they can do and should do, and know that grants are given out to people that are doing what folks are citing in here. It has to be an audit, evaluation, measurements. The good brother Corey McCarthy is in the room. I'd work with anyone who has kids, to work with, period. Good convo. Thank you, sir. I would love for you and brother Frederick to connect around some of the work that he's doing. Auntie Lily Co-op is in the room. I don't believe I've seen this name before. Welcome to the Java Cafe. Domingo, and y'all are commenting, and I got to get ready to wrap up. Domingo, the Yes program on Mass Ave had Domingo is going to remind you of what was with that, and we fussed about this. The Yes program on Mass Ave had programs for our children. Now they're moving to JP. Most our kids never heard of them in this generation. I remember the Yes program. One of their main things was the big ski trip. They would take us skiing. I went once and I was all set. Corey said, it's not programs that drive change. People drive change. Good people drive change and destroy system. Okay. All right, brother Corey. Domingos is also saying the Rainbow Coalition started with there would be a lot of people that could read a lot into that statement, Mingo. And I'm just going to, don't start. Corey's also saying passion to Frederick, the Real Boston Media, who I need to let you all know. We're sitting down with the Real Boston Media on next Thursday, February 26th at 9 p.m. I'm being intentional about 9 p.m. because we're going to let them loose about politics, about young people, about social media. Oh, there's going to be a lot. And, it's after dark, so we're going to have a couple of espresso martinis in the room now that I know how to make them. They're saying former youth worker, feel like I've done and seen it all. There's a lot out there, and there's new with these young people. The foundation of it is not new, rebelling, normal, pushback against adults and whatnot. But with social media and technology and some of the energy, and we got to keep in mind, there was a surge of teens that happened around 97. Those teens are now parents. So there's more of them. And I sound like a full adultist right now, but there's a lot of young people out there. So, the polar plunge was crazy. Who is, oh God, nope, all set. Belinda is saying the Honorable Mel King of Boston, wonderful Boston history. I love it. Thanks, Jimmy. Of course. Pam said that she is overdue. Pam, for what? Let me know. And Pam, I know you ain't talking about being overdue for polar plunge. Heidi, I thought about this, and I need to check in with our Pastor Chase. Heidi, Latrell, and others. The transition of Jesse Jackson, there's an extra layer for us because a brother that we knew and loved, who transitioned a couple of years ago, was Jesse Jackson's chief of staff. He was the cousin of our pastor and sister and friend Latrell Chase. And so that when I saw about Jesse Jackson, I thought about Steve and then thought about Latrell as well. So keep Latrell and Tyrone, Mother Loretta, she probably killed me saying Mother Loretta, keep her in your prayers. And Pam, there may be something coming up that I need to approach you about. I just got a contract yesterday and I need to figure a few things out about where I have to do something. So I just need to make sure I'll check in. Dina is saying at camp, yes, in the Berkshires, they had a polar plunge and you had to do it when you woke up in the morning. Oh, I thought you was talking about the South Boston one that they do. They do it in the vineyard. They do it. No, I will be right there taking pictures. And don't think about splashing me with no cold water. So, all right, folks, we got to wrap up. We will keep you abreast of when we will broadcast the interview with our Honorable Governor Maura Healey. We want to appreciate Congresswoman coming in yesterday. We have some great programming lined up for you in the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to be proactive. Brother Rasan Hall, who is the executive director, CEO or executive director of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, one of the organizations that have been part of the conversation around Black leadership in Boston. He's going to come in and chat with us about that, but then also other things that the Urban League is doing. And so that is happening. I need to confirm the date with him, but either next week or the week after. My manager is texting me. Am I in trouble? All right. Union Capital, you all get one hour for today. Heidi is saying, hey, fam, I'm hiring. Check out Heidi's Facebook page. She is looking for workers. I think I saw an administrative assistant that she was looking for. Domingos, there's a bad batch of dogs being sold in Nubian Square. Oh, drugs. There's a bad batch of drugs being sold in Nubian Square. If you have a loved one that is dealing with substance use disorder, please warn them and make them aware of what Mingo just said. Frederick, and I'll end with this one, I hope. Youth work is on the proverbial hamster wheel. Him and that hamster wheel on a proverbial hamster wheel, which is him saying it says a lot. New generation, same stuff. We need to focus on the babies. These kids go through so much and we try to catch them at 16, 17. They're not trying to hear it. I agree with that. And even more so in these times as a result of what's going on with nationally, the impact of those that are going to be more impoverished and in under the poverty line, like the type of work that Mingos is talking about that is done, that Frederick is doing, and others. We're going to need more of it. And as Congresswoman Presley said yesterday, get to know your neighbors, because that's where the first line of reliance will be. Thanks for sharing the information about the drugs. Absolutely, brother. All right, folks, I really have to go. Domingos, I see that, working with 3 to 5 year olds. We will let you know which D Nice is. I saw D Nice pop on over on Instagram. I thought it was DJ. All right, we're going to wrap up and we will see you tomorrow. Oh, before I go, tomorrow at hold on. Let me get out of this. How do you get out of the thing? There we go. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., a Java family member, a community activist, and we talk about some of this work to prevent violence and engage our young people. He works mostly on the older end with bringing peace to our young people. To the Junto Community Unity Celebration, we're going to discuss it with Bambaya, aka Milton Dosuto. Will be with us as a spokesperson for Tuda Junto. He's coming in the Java Cafe tomorrow at 10 a.m. I think we discussed in person, which is a whole different energy, but with going to the State House today and coming back and setting up and getting ready for him in studio tomorrow, I don't know. He might be virtual, but please plan to join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. With Brother Milton. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow.